Greetings everyone and welcome back to a new video. Now today I actually want to react to one of the making of videos for the Gothic remake. I tend to not really do this as often, but you know, when it comes to Gothic, I want to be up to date with everything because it's still one of my favorite games of all time, and I feel like I just want to know how progress is going, what they've been cooking up basically. And they're probably just going to be like mostly developers just talking about the game, I'm going to assume. So it's not like we're going to see new stuff at all, but I still want to hear their minds when it comes to the Gothic games, because as far as I remember, most if not all the developers are actually from Spain. And it's like, look, I come from Spain myself, but the Gothic popularity in Spain isn't that big compared to Germany, Poland, that sort of country. So I'm just kind of impressed that they're the ones that have taken up the mantle to creating the remake. That's all I gotta say, basically. So, but yeah, without further ado, let's go see what this is about. All right, that's a... That viewer retention is gone, by the way.
The original Gothic was so popular and so unique at the time that I feel like it deserves a proper remake.
Well, at some point, yeah, it has to, I think. That music is great, by the way. Ooh, we got a bit of Gothic motive in the background. All right, let's see what it's about. Come on. That music.
Our approach was first and foremost to respect and embrace the original vision behind the game. We studied the original vision. We tried to understand everything what they were trying to say, they were trying to convey. And we just...
I mean, if we're talking about... Sorry, I'm going to probably pause a lot with the video. If we're talking about what the demo actually was back in the day, then yeah, I can understand you having to actually understand or to read every bit of criticism that demo needed, because it was a little bit too much, too far out from a Gothic game. I feel like if they went down that road, it would have probably been just a second Arcania, and it would have gone horribly wrong, and people would have just acted like it never existed, and they're all just going back to the Gothic 1 and 2 games. At least, my opinion.
Okay, this is a remake. That's the first thing the fans should have to... We are not trying to reinvent the wheel or to do something crazy with the Gothic franchise. I mean, this is a remake. We embrace, we honor the original vision, and we just try to approach there with the uttermost respect.
After so many years,
yes,
and actually after quite a short time after the release of Gothic 1, when I look back at the music that I've done back then, I kind of always find the things that I would have loved to improve.
Oh, my boy! My boy! I'm so happy to see him, bro. I don't know why. Like a lost friend. Because I remember watching his streams for a time, half, because I never really understood it. Sometimes he switched to English, but then he went back to German. And then he just suddenly stopped, sadly. So I didn't really get to see often much about Kai anymore. But man, his music is top tier. I know, obviously, when it comes to the first 2 games, at least, he used most of the sound packages, and it wasn't actually like too much his own work. Especially the Gothic 1 main theme, the drums in the background, for example, are not his, as far as I know. They're actually just from a package of just sound files that people can use to like mix together. If anything, games like Halo, for example, also use that same drum beat. Obviously, the actual melody is probably unique, because I don't think I've ever heard it in any other game, at least. I don't think so, but yeah. So, but obviously, Gothic 3, I believe, was... I think I saw a video of him talking about Gothic 3, which was mostly special for him because he got to do his own orchestra. So that was a lot of fun to actually see. So, yeah, happy to see him, man. Very excited for, for the work that he's done. I mean, I've already listened and reacted to one of the new camp themes in the background, and I can already hear some of the sounds right now, and they're good so far.
Other ideas. So that constant, striving and strive to make everything better, now I get a second chance. So I can return to my music that I wrote back then and create new versions, create fresh versions that kind of stand the test of time.
It's been more than 20 years since the first Gothic came out, and it's difficult to
old.
think about how you bring something that has such a history into modern times with the quality of life we have now, and how you stay truthful to the original experience of playing such a game, which was quite innovative, quite new to the whole market and what it brought to RPGs.
I got immersed.
You know what? I also want to be honest and say that I feel like in this day and age, as of right now, I feel like that game is still very much unique because let's be honest, we still have some people asking, for example, in the subreddit of World of Gothic and that sort of thing, that after playing all the Gothic games, they're looking for games that are like Gothic. But most of the recommendations are either to play Archolos or to go to Risen 1 because there aren't really many games like the Gothic games. And this could be nostalgia goggles playing a role in my opinion, but I definitely feel like the way the games have been crafted, especially the first two games, is still very unique in the whole video game scene. We don't see this very often with RPGs. I wish it was done more often. I feel like this is such a weird thing to say because a lot of people won't really understand, but for Skyrim, the mod conversion that is called Enderroll, which is using the same engine as Skyrim, I think that's one of the closest games that can be compared to Gothic, especially because of the way zones were separated for their respective levels, so you could actually venture there, but again, it's too dangerous. The way quests would work is kind of the same as Gothic. You get like multiple versions to try and continue the quest, but they don't really force you to do any of that. You can just go your own path and figure out, oh, from talking to this person, I realize he tells me there's a weapon in this area, and this weapon is used to make these fights easier. But if you wouldn't have done that conversation in the first place, you would have been able to get through that location. It's just way harder. So that sort of thing is also in Enderroll. And of course, it also has the learning point system, because I feel like nowadays, again, when it comes to leveling, it's kind of just like you level up and then you increase your own health. You put points into your whatever build you want to make. But there's no communication between you and an NPC. There's no trainer system at all. And I feel like developers usually skip that part because for the casuals, which is pretty much like 95% of everyone playing games, the casuals are just there to quickly accept this skill point, this ability, that sort of thing, instead of having to backtrack all the way back to your master to train with him and to gain experience. But the Gothic games did it that way. Enderroll did it that way. You'd have points that you could put into. I mean, there was still a skill tree that you could put points into, but there was also, you had to buy books in order to learn and read about your own skills, and that way you could increase it. But you could only increase it a couple times every time you level up, so you can infinitely just gain points. So obviously that system is still more newer than Gothic, but I feel like when I'm talking about Gothic in general, this system doesn't really exist as much. There's probably more games that have the same system that I don't know about, but in general, and I've been playing a lot of games because RPGs are just the sort of games I enjoy playing, it just doesn't happen that often.
To the world of Gothic.
Back to the video.
Thanks to Kai Rosenkrantz and his creations. And I want to say a big thank you to Snowball localization team, because they made a huge job. The voices and localization.
I've been playing Gothic
It helped
modded
me
for
a
so
lot
long,
to
I
go
forgot how it
deeper
actually
in this
looked
world.
like.
I think that Gothic 1 was a game that allows the player to go everywhere, anywhere, and anytime. So that feeling that the player has in order to make his own choices.
There was, I don't know, 15 years, over 10 years, there was nothing happening with it, which is sad because it's like,
Again, I also want to point out that the good thing is you can't technically go everywhere. You can try, but some areas are just way too hard. You shouldn't be going to the forests, both forests in Gothic 1, when you just start out, because there's snappers, there's shadow beasts roaming around. There's no young wolves. There's a couple normal wolves that will absolutely wreck you alive. And that sort of thing happens. So, yeah, the world is open, and you have the choices to go there, but you soon will realize that you can't do it because you're too weak. And I really like that because at the same time, it gives me the freedom, but then it doesn't. I have to sort of I have to follow a linear path for a certain duration, and then paths start to open up, and then I have the choice to do what I want to do, and that's what I like.
It's a franchise and a game that people deeply care about and are very emotional towards too. And I'm myself
Sometimes a little bit too
actually, that
emotional,
I never
guys,
got
relax.
To play another Gothic game in these times.
We are fighting with memories. We're just trying to embrace the original vision of the authors.
When I was young, I played the games in German. It was one of the only games which had a real character and authenticity to German culture. Like the dialogues were written in a way how you and me would speak if we would be, I don't know, friendly drinking a beer and talking about stuff, right? And that is something that was never done by a game. It was so natural and so close to reality.
Yeah, I'm guessing what he means is that in a lot of games, the dialogues are just made to sort of forward the plot, so there's like no bantering, no nothing. Nowadays, games do that more often, but yeah, back in the day, that wasn't it. Everything was too very high fantasy like and too serious, and it didn't really feel that human. So, but yeah, these games obviously did that. They also just made them act like actual fucking humans. Like in a lot of games, you could easily go into someone's house and steal some stuff, but in this game, people will start reacting that you're not supposed to go there, and they will whip out their swords and start attacking you if you don't get out. So that is the easiest example to give with Gothic, but it's basically just a form of reality. It's like reality, but not too much that it feels like you're just playing a real life version of a game. You're still playing a game, but there are some systems that will keep you in check.
Way, without being a simulation or whatever, it kind of fascinated me always, right? Because it also they were cursing each other in the game and reacting to each other in a very rude way sometimes. And
is that the old camp theme?
Kind of an attractor for me.
Creo que tiene algo especial.
Vamos!
Desde que empiezas a jugarlo.
I don't even need the subtitles.
Te envuelve como en ese aura oscuro y como duro, ¿no? Que se consigue muy rápido, ¿no? Esa sensación de sentirte parte, ¿no? De ese mundo ya. La música, los environments.
Así que Gothic me gustó mucho por el setting y por el mundo. Y me llamó mucho la atención, pues que era un juego que yo no estaba acostumbrado a jugar en ese momento. Un juego que no te guía, no te indica dónde tienes que ir ni lo que tienes que hacer. Tienes que prestar atención a lo que te dicen los personajes.
Yeah, games don't do it like that anymore, which I feel like it's kind of a shame. I think both Gothic and Morrowind use that system a lot, and I really like that, the way you just there's no objective marker. And the problem is nowadays when I play an RPG, I try to force myself to not use the markers, but the problem is nowadays games are made with the mentality of you following the marker. If you don't use the marker and where you're supposed to go, nothing in the dialogue tells you how to go there. There's no option to ask how to go there. And if you do get to ask the question, then the answer is very vague. It does make sense, but it also doesn't. It's like someone tries to explain you where you need to go, to a certain street, but they explain it to you like that you are actually supposed to know it, and it's more like a refreshment rather than actually going to details into how to get to that point. So, yeah.
Comprarte el mapa tienes que estar muy atento, y eso realmente es una experiencia muy inmersiva, y yo creo que eso es lo que más me gustó del juego.
Gothic is a very grounded game that you feel like is tough, is hard, but also is very realistic.
What this was amazing to me the first time that I played Gothic was how you could solve a lot of situations taking advantage of everyone. Everyone would take advantage of you, of course, but then you have these chances where you can take advantage of a character killing a scavenger for you, so you can go around something.
Creo que lo que más
I find it funny because I think everyone has done that at some point, especially in like Gothic 2. Like, don't lie, people. I know you've all used fucking Diego when you had to return him back to Corinnes, and you used him to clear out most of the pathways as much as possible until he said, I'm not really supposed to go here. Now we're getting too close to the castle. I don't want to go to the castle. And then he leaves, and then you re-invite him to the group, and then he just kills every single enemy that's just way too hard for you. And it's like some early XP. And yeah, you're just taking an advantage of the game system. But I think like that's just part of Gothic.
me gusta del Gothic, que combina la magia y todo, es que aunque es un juego de fantasía, es muy verosímil. No es 100% realista, pero sí que intentamos que parezca realista. Entonces es como que combina esos dos mundos y no
Yeah,
te da
this
la
is literally
sensación
what
que
I
estás
just
como en un
said about
juego
it
que
being
no pudiera
realistic, but
existir
not
en la
too
vida real,
much.
sino que es algo que te hace como meterte dentro del personaje y sentir que tú puedes estar viviendo eso.
The living world, like the simulation, that like everything is kind of like, everything had a daily routine, you can affect it, you can get to discover, kind of like be part of the life. It was the first simulation that I feel like was not centered around the player. It was actually going on while, you know, you were not the center of attention for everything. You were just a nobody. I really liked the progression system and how you learn abilities, and what also the progression had an impact on, you know, your fighting styles, like with the main character.
I will forever love Skeletons trying to do the forward attack animation of just trying to kick someone. But yeah, he is correct, and to say that the nameless hero actually wasn't really, I mean, sure, he was the hero, but he wasn't actually like the main character in the setting itself, to the perspective of the people within that world. Especially in like the first few chapters. Obviously, afterwards, when you have to start doing the focus stones and everything else, the problem is, sure, you get a sense of being the main character, but you're only the main character and important to the people related to that specific quest, which is only like 3 or 4 NPCs that know about it. Everyone else doesn't care. They will just treat you like a normal human, and they will try and kick your ass. And that's just what I love.
Really, I think everybody struggled fighting against the first scavenger or run away from the diggers. And for me, this point from them learning that all the decisions make sense.
Again, I love how they just kept the old sound effect. No, honestly, I don't think a lot of people actually struggle with the scavengers. I guess maybe if you're really a new player for the first time, but I feel like after playing it one time, scavengers have a very easy pattern. I don't know. Look, I have a lot of Gothic playthroughs on my channel. If I died because of a scavenger, let me know, because I'd like to see that.
All effect, and in the end of the game, you are stronger and you get a name in the colony. For me, that's the most memorable.
I think
thing of
lizards
the
would
game.
be the better
For me,
term.
The main thing that for me defines Gothic, it's the way you interact with other characters. I mean, it's not about, you know, killing 20 wolves and so you get a rise in your level of
Well, Gothic 3 would like to have a word with you, buddy.
expertise in sword fighting. It's about find someone, convince him to teach you how to improve your skills, and then maybe if you are good enough, he will teach you something. No? These human relations.
Our aim was also...
Yeah, I think
to
the
create
difference,
this-
again, I'm going to pause it again. I think the difference, I believe what he's trying to say is that the way leveling works with most RPGs is usually like you get experience for killing 10 wolves. However, in Gothic, you do get experience as well. But difference is that in Gothic, in order to actually train with someone, you need to kill those 10 wolves to prove to that guy that you are worth training. Whereas in another game, you just kill those wolves, you happen to level up, you put the skill point on, and you go about your business. There's no trainer, no nothing. But here you have to. You'll level up from the experience. You'll also get experience for finishing the quest, but you'll also unlock him as a teacher. And that's also, again, a system I very much like. because you could also make it so that there are teachers around the world that will do it, but for a higher price. But imagine going to a specific hunter out in the wilderness, and he's just on his own or with a buddy, and he'll happily train you, but you have to bring him like a couple, wolf pelts or something, and he will actually he will actually train you for a slightly cheaper price than the people that would just do it from the get-go. And look, I don't know if that actually happens in the games, I'm going to be honest, but again, if the remake were to do this, it's a nice system where there's a trainer that will train you no matter what, but it will be heavily expensive, especially because people would just want to abuse you in in the old camp, or in the colony. But work for someone, and you'll be able to, get it cheaper. We all have the Gothic 2 also has the system, especially at the start when you need to get the farmer's clothes, and you can get it cheaper by just doing work. That's just amazing.
Remake in a mindful.
This video is already
and
20 minutes for me.
respecting greatly the original.
The video itself is 30.
Like, with the graphics to be like a modern game with a realistic look, right? And that kind of fights with the original, because the original, they only had so much polygons per figures, for example.
Again, I'm sorry to pause it again. I actually don't mind it. I've never really been. It's not that I'm not a fan of getting a remake. It's just that I'll play it. I'll fucking enjoy it. I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. But I also don't mind if these people were to work on a mod like our Hollow size with that engine, because I like the limitations they have. I like the polygons. It's just, you instantly know it's a Gothic game. You know the system, and I feel like that's just amazing on its own. It really is. But I feel like that's my opinion like that is with almost every single game. I don't feel like graphics need to improve every single time. I myself don't really care for it. I just want different storylines or different armor sets, blah, blah, blah. I don't want them to keep improving graphics and da-da-da, because it's fine. If everything... Imagine if they still release games with the Gothic 1 and 2 engine. Go for it, man. I'll buy it. I don't care. If the game is good, the game is good. I'm used to the system. I know it's going to be good gameplay-wise. I'm not complaining. Use that system to improve on the points that the first few games were suffering from, and then it's completely fine. And then you get the perfect state, and then you can just use it to make new storylines. That's it. That's what I love. And our Hollows did that, Chronicles of Metana, and it was amazing. And it's all I ever wanted, and that's what I care for. But the remake will also be fine. I'm just saying that I don't care about the graphics.
These restrictions, you design creatures and NPCs and whatever, you design it in a very specific way to get the fantasy in your head, right? You had to do this back in the day. If there is people who are like, yeah, but I like this look. If you really like the look of the original game, I think there is a game for you, which is the original. And thankfully, you can now play Gothic 1 and 2 as classic editions on modern consoles, which I think was also one of our key strategies always to take care about franchises and IPs, to make sure the thing that people love is actually preserved.
In the end, we're fighting to recreate.
That's one of the most important things, and I've already said it, that, and I feel like this is also a reason why people shouldn't get so emotionally invested when it comes to remakes. It's because the older versions will always be there. If, for example, the Knights of the Old Republic remake comes out at some point in the future, again, if people dislike it, or they don't like the engine, or they don't like the gameplay and stuff like that, you don't have to worry, because the older version exists. We don't want an Overwatch here. We don't want a game that makes a second version and just makes the previous version unusable. Then it would be a problem. If this remake were to release and they're like, oh, we don't need the Gothic 1 Classic anymore, get rid of it, then it doesn't really matter how good the remake will be. You're taking away a part of people's lives, and that is just very dangerous, because there are some crazy fucks out there that will do something about it. But I'm just trying to say that, relax, people. If the game is not going to be good, it happens. Sometimes tastes differ. Or sometimes you haven't played the games for years and you realize it's not your thing anymore. That's also fine. I myself personally will most likely like it and I'll play it. But chances are I'll probably stick back to the classic versions because I just like the way the engines work. But hey, I like to be proven wrong.
Create the love memories. And in Spanish, we say, there's a say that says, cualquier tiempo pasado fue mejor. It seems any past time was way better. So in the end, we are trying to challenge with this, but it's a nice challenge. So when I read some fans' comments about, and they say, for example, a new cam image, we released not much time ago, and they say, wow, this is exactly how the new cam was in my imagine when I was playing. And then some other fans show him the real image of the new cam of the original game, and they say, what the hell? What the fuck? What's this? In my head, it was like the remake one.
So first of all, I think that
I mean, yeah, that's always the case with video games. Is if you grow up with the PlayStation 2 era or the Commodore or whatever, there's a point where your brain just doesn't know any better, and until you see the better version, and then compare it to the old version, at that point you finally realize how much it has changed. But that's with everything. Honestly, it doesn't just apply to games. It's just the way our brains perceive things in the world. Think about monitors, for example. I know, weird example, but someone could be used to 60 hertz for 10 years, and then suddenly switch to 144, and then you start using it, and you're like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty good. And you use it for a couple months, and then you're forced to use a 60 hertz monitor for a couple minutes, and you're like, what the fuck? Is this what I've been working with for 10 years? No. Why? That sort of thing. It's like, not in the sense of Gothic, because then it makes it sound like you would never want to go back. I'm just trying to say that the way we perceive things, we don't know what's better until we experience that better thing. And until we not experience that better thing, we will always perceive the current thing as the better option. It's a lot of mumble jumble I just said, but I hope it makes sense.
The fan base of the original.
Also, let me see Kai again, bro. I want to see Kai.
Demographic and structure. I think there's not one voice that you can listen to and say, like, if you do it like that, everybody will like it. And that's the core problem. There's so many different opinions. There's even like when we did the Gothic playable teasers, there were even like old fans who were like, great, finally doing something different with it.
Yeah, but this was horrible.
The aim was to really push the boundaries.
But I'm glad they I didn't like this For Honor combat.
So back in the day, we were asking, okay, what fans want? What do they want? They want to...
I do hope they actually release the music in the game and they actually show... Because there's some music bits from the demo that I actually liked.
I mean, the same story with new graphics, or maybe a retold. Maybe they want a new story within the world, or maybe they want something in the line of new modern games where the character is always talking and doing jokes.
Oh yeah, he's monologuing again.
Let's force a very strong reaction, and with that we can understand what they really want. No, and in the end we got the reaction. We got a lot of ideas from the fans. The fans showed us the way, and they helped us to create the pillars of the Gothic remake. No, I remember.
Yeah, it was pillars. It was
4 years ago, creating a document with the pillars of the game view, and saying, okay, those are we cannot move. Those are the pillars of everything what we are.
I mean, hey, I'm gonna give them respect for actually listening. It doesn't happen as often.
Was good because it helped us to define those basic pillars, and we are here today.
When we started to create the real Gothic 1 remake and got the green light to do it, we set out to, or we defined that first and foremost.
That's so close to Gothic 3's music. I like the quality.
Because if they don't like our game, then this game has no right to exist.
I would say two things. The first thing to the fans is that I hope that they fully understand the way we embrace the original, the way we respect and we are trying to honor the original, because we understand how important is this game, well, the franchise, but Gothic 1 in special for them. No, sometimes I read fans telling, okay, I was playing this with my father, and I will play the remake with my son. So I hope that they understand that we are doing this with passion and with all of our heart.
It's the people out there that make us do what we love doing. They enable us to do that, and they are kind of the other half of that world that kind of only works if the
Oh,
both
bro,
halves
he has such German dad energy. Look at him.
come together. We, being passionate game developers that pour our hearts and souls into making the game, and the audience that enjoys playing those games and kind of keeping it alive over so many years.
And for the future, I would like to play Gothic Remake in 20 years with Aran, with my son. He's 2 years old now, but maybe in 15 years or 16 years, we can play together. And I say, okay,
Nah, bro,
Papa,
let
we
him
will
play
do
at 7
something
years
sweet.
old. We've all done
But,
that.
yeah, or maybe in 10 years, we can play together to this.
Yes, force him to play Gothic. Bring him here. But don't you dare let him play the remake first. We gotta bring that little kid back to the beginning, back to where it all began. Because if you bring him to the remake, he's gonna have that typical mindset that if you go play a previous game, they're like, oh man, what is this gameplay and graphics? Why? Yeah, I have to press Control W to try and pick something. What the fuck are these controls? Oh, that was it. Oh, okay. Nothing else afterwards? 23 meat bucks got hurt during the making of this video? Damn. Nameless hero by nameless hero. They're taking the piss. They're taking the piss. 2 meatbags ragouts were consumed. The sleeper is still sleeping. Alles wird gut. Nah, man, honestly, like, I have talked, and I'm gonna be honest, just the way I am. Come on, you know how I am at this point. I have talked negative about this game very often, but, and I feel like people sometimes misunderstand me, and I did explain this before, I am more so pissed off with the way THQ is handling this game, rather than Alchemia themselves. Like I mentioned already, I have a lot of respect for them to actually treating the game it should have been treated. Because that's, I think, the most important thing. Sure, they could have ended up doing what they've done with the demo version we've had, but I feel like it would have had a very bad reaction, and I don't think people would have really liked it, and everyone would have gone back. But now the remake gives people the option to just play what they've played before, just with newer graphics and different gameplay and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm excited for it. I really am. I'm happy to know when it's finally releasing, because I don't think there's still a date for it. You know, I have a big love for Gothic. You guys probably already know, because I have a lot of Gothic content on my channel. I grew up with Gothic. I played it when I was a very tiny kid. I wasn't 15 when I started playing it like he wanted. My first game was actually Gothic 2 without the Night of the Raven expansion. And then I actually started playing Arcania, which I know will piss people off. But I didn't know any better. You have to realize when I played Gothic 2, I was like 5 or 6 years old and I didn't know the system. I'll be honest, I said I played Gothic 2. I never got past the bandit at the first after leaving the tower because I just, like I said, I was 5 or 6. I didn't understand how this game worked. I never got past anything. I just got beat the fuck up and I just stopped playing. But I technically did start playing that game. It's just I never really got anywhere. So obviously, I guess in the sense of actually completing the game, I'm sad to say that Arcania was the first ever fucking thing that I've ever finished. But you know what? I'm more so glad I've actually done it, because that made it so that I was able to actually get interested into the other games. And now Arcania is shelved in the back. Gothic 1 and 2, well, especially 2, are my favorites still. If anything, I just recently finished a playthrough of Gothic 2 again, as in a month ago. Yeah, big love. I will be doing a let's play of this the moment it comes out. You bet your fucking ass. I'll be taking some work days off. And if I can't take them off, I'll call myself in sick. I have to play this. So yeah, thank you all for watching. It's been a lovely video. They said 01, so I'm not sure. I'm guessing they're gonna make more of them. I don't know if I'm gonna react to everything. I just wanted to react to the first specific video. I'll probably watch the rest on my own time. But if you wish to hear my perspective out of these videos more often, let me know. But otherwise, I don't, because while I do like sometimes making reaction videos, I feel like it's very low effort, and I'd like my channel to be 95% just actual good content rather than just watching a video. But I tried my best at transforming this video into my own and giving my thoughts and opinion out of everything from this video, especially because I made it 30 minutes or so. I don't know how much I will edit out, and because that's the most important thing for me and my channel, at least. So yeah, anyways, thank you all for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hope you guys had a great time, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Peace.